Caste. This word carries a lot of weight in India. It's a social hierarchy, often tied to birth, occupation, and even destiny. For centuries, it has shaped lives, opportunities, and even the soul of the nation. Today, caste is a sensitive and explosive issue, deeply intertwined with questions of identity, equality, and justice. India has made significant strides in abolishing caste discrimination, but its legacy still casts a long shadow. Recently, the debate over caste has been reignited by calls for a caste census, a comprehensive count of every caste group in the country. This demand has stirred passions, divided opinions, and brought the issue of caste back into the national spotlight. At the heart of this debate lies a profound question. Can India truly move towards a more just and equitable society without confronting the realities of caste? Or will such an attempt only deepen existing divisions? It's a question that resonates not just within India, but also in the global conversation on social justice and equality. A caste census is essentially a detailed survey conducted by the government to count and categorize people based on their caste. It goes beyond simply identifying members of the scheduled castes or scheduled tribes groups historically considered disadvantaged and in need of affirmative action. Instead, a caste census aims to create a comprehensive database of all caste groups, including the other backward classes and the general category. This means collecting data not just on numbers, but also on socio-economic indicators like education, employment, and access to resources. The significance of a caste census lies in its potential to provide a clear picture of the realities of caste in present-day India. Supporters argue that such data is crucial for formulating effective policies, targeting welfare schemes, and ensuring equitable representation for all caste groups. In essence, it's about making the invisible visible. To understand today's discussion, we need to delve into the history of caste data in India. From 1881 to 1931, under British rule, caste censuses were conducted regularly. However, this practice stopped in 1931, marking the last comprehensive caste census in the country. Following India's independence in 1947, the new government decided to discontinue the enumeration of caste in subsequent censuses. This decision was based on the belief that collecting and categorizing citizens based on caste would deepen the very divisions that independent India sought to overcome. However, the absence of comprehensive caste data created its own set of challenges. The Mandal Commission, formed in 1979 to address caste inequalities, had to rely on outdated 1931 census data to estimate the OBC population. This lack of current data has fueled debates about the accuracy of reservations and the effectiveness of social justice programs. Those who advocate for a new caste census argue that it is a crucial tool for achieving social justice in India. They emphasize that without accurate data on the socio-economic conditions of different caste groups, it is impossible to create truly effective policies. For instance, targeted welfare programs aimed at uplifting marginalized communities require reliable data to identify beneficiaries and assess the impact of such initiatives. Similarly, ensuring equitable representation in education, employment, and political spheres requires a clear understanding of the demographic distribution of different caste groups. Supporters of the caste census believe that collecting this data is not about reinforcing caste identities, but about addressing the real inequalities that persist along caste lines. They argue that ignoring the issue will not make it disappear. Instead, it will only perpetuate the cycle of disadvantage and discrimination. The demand for a caste census has also faced considerable opposition. Critics argue that such an exercise risks deepening social divisions. They fear that categorizing people based on caste will reinforce their identities and potentially exacerbate social tensions. Another concern revolves around the potential politicization of caste data. Critics argue that political parties might exploit this information for electoral gain, dividing voters along caste lines. They believe this could undermine the sense of a united and inclusive India. Furthermore, opponents express concerns about the potential impact on India's reservation system. Currently, reservations in education and government jobs are based on historical disadvantage, primarily benefiting scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. They fear that a new caste census could lead to fresh demands for reservations by various groups, potentially exceeding the existing 50% limit set by the Supreme Court. They argue that this could create new inequalities and further complicate the reservation system. Unsurprisingly, the issue of a caste census has spilled over into the political arena, becoming a major point of contention between different political parties. Opposition parties have been particularly vocal in their demand for a caste census, accusing the ruling government of being reluctant to collect this data. This demand has gained significant momentum in recent years, especially in the lead-up to elections. Opposition parties see it as a crucial electoral issue, particularly in states with a large OBC population. They believe that by promising a caste census and subsequently formulating policies based on that data, they can garner the support of these communities. On the other hand, the BJP has traditionally been cautious on this issue. While acknowledging the need for data to address social inequality, the party has expressed concerns about the potential for social unrest and the politicization of caste. However, in a significant shift, the government recently approved a nationwide caste census in April 2025, seemingly in response to growing demands and electoral considerations. They believe that by promising a caste census and then creating policies based on that data, they can gain the support of these communities. On the other hand, the BJP has always been a little cautious on this issue. While understanding the need for data to eliminate social inequality, the party has expressed concern over the possibility of social unrest and the politicization of caste. But in a big change, the government recently approved a nationwide caste census in April 2025, given the growing demand and election results. The state of Bihar has emerged as a focal point in the national debate surrounding caste censuses. In a bold move, the state government conducted its own caste census in 2023, becoming the first state to do so in recent decades. The survey's findings, which were made public, sent ripples across the country. The data revealed that OBCs and EBCs constitute over 60% of Bihar's population, while the general category accounts for 15%. This information has significant implications for the state's policies, particularly in areas like reservations, resource allocation, and political representation. The Bihar government has indicated that it will use this data to review existing quotas and potentially create new ones to ensure a more equitable distribution of opportunities. The state's decision to conduct and release its own caste census has set a precedent, with several other states now considering similar moves. The debate on the caste census boils down to a fundamental dilemma. Can India effectively address the issue of caste without acknowledging and understanding its present realities? Or will such an attempt only serve to perpetuate the very divisions it seeks to eradicate? There are no easy answers to this question. On the one hand, collecting comprehensive caste data can provide valuable insights into the persistence of caste-based inequalities and help in designing targeted interventions. On the other hand, there is a legitimate concern that such an exercise could reinforce caste identities and potentially exacerbate social tensions, and help design targeted interventions. On the other hand, there is a legitimate concern that such an exercise could reinforce caste identities and potentially increase social tensions. Ultimately, the success of any policy aimed at addressing caste inequality hinges on a multi-pronged approach that goes beyond simply counting castes. It requires a commitment to social justice, robust affirmative action programs, and sustained efforts to dismantle the social and economic structures that perpetuate caste-based discrimination. The debate on the caste census is far from over. It is a complex issue with far-reaching implications for India's social fabric and political landscape. As the country gears up for the 2025 census, this debate is likely to intensify, prompting further discussions and deliberations. What are your thoughts on this crucial issue? Do you believe a caste census is necessary for achieving social justice in India? Or do you think it risks deepening existing divisions? This is not just a debate for policymakers and politicians. It's a conversation that every citizen needs to be a part of. Share your thoughts, engage in informed discussions, and make your voice heard. The future of a more just and equitable India depends on it. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your participation will only strengthen this discussion.